Hi guys, welcome to another video from Overbite Gaming, and today we're taking a look at Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance 2. Now I've done videos on both Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance and the more recent Dark Alliance game, which was not very good to be fair, but I did very much like Dark Alliance 1, and since doing that review I have bought the next gen version, although it's just sort of a just slight remaster, I suppose you put it. But I never played the second one, even though it was released on a console that I actually owned. And then I came across it on Steam. I've been poorly recently, with a bit of a wackadoodle flu that had me basically asleep for 3 days. It's kind of like being a bear. But hopefully I'm over most of that. I've still got a cough and a bit of a runny nose and all that, and I did try to return to the office today and everybody took one look at me and made me go home, so there you go, draw that what you will. But I think I am sufficiently medicated to get it through this. But whilst I was in bed and looking for something to do, of course the Steam Deck is a valuable tool in such circumstances, and I was looking at games that were good on deck and I came across Dark Alliance 2 for PC. It wasn't cheap for what it was. I mean, it came out in 2022, I believe, the PC version anyway, and it was like £27, which is quite a bit for like a game that's what, 21 years old, something like that almost. So it was a bit of an ass, but I was like, well, it's Dark Alliance, and if it plays like the first one, that's an ideal thing to like sit in bed while I'm nursing my cold and have a bit of a play on while I'm in my infrequent states of awakeness. Okay, I'm going to try and cut like any coughing out, because that just happened, but we'll see how we go. I don't want to really leave it in indefinite because who wants to listen to phlegm. So Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance 2 basically takes over from the end of Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance 1. The opening cutscene shows the heroes from the original, but you don't actually play as them. You get a selection of 5. There's a human cleric, and a barbarian, a dwarf thief, which I found an interesting choice. You don't think of dwarves as the rogues very often. There's a moon elf that's a necromancer, I believe, and one other that I can't remember because I'm dumb. There is also a drow monk. There we go. So there's quite a lot of different characters. They all tend to play differently. I've been playing the barbarian because his playstyle is like damage and tank, and I've always gravitated towards tanks because they're usually the best class for soloing RPGs, because you can stand in the middle, you can take more damage, and you can usually deal a fair bit as well. Not as good as like DPS ones, but still pretty good. And to be fair, it's working for me, and I do think the second game is easier than the first, in my opinion. Obviously the characters that you play are not from the first game, although so they weren't the characters in the first game and are new for this game, but because they'll play differently, it's still really fun to play. I mean, it does play a lot like the first game, in fairness. That was some of the criticisms levelled at it when it came out, that it wasn't much of an upgrade. There are a few, I mean, you've got like 5 characters to choose from now. You've still got co-op gameplay that you can have. There's more NPCs to talk about, and obviously the storyline, whilst mostly being a retread, is new enough. So there's that, you know. If you enjoyed the first one, you're going to enjoy this one, basically. So you have one attack button, and then you have your special abilities on another button. You also have the ability to jump, which is, yeah, useful. You have a block button, and then you have 2 dedicated buttons for health and mana potions. You can also change whatever skill you want is bound to your special key. So there you go. I tend to use just one on the barbarian. It's just the one that just makes him tougher and stronger. So there you are. So it seems like a good idea on the Barbarian. They also have, I think it's Greater Fortitude, which is super helpful. So basically it's passive HP regeneration, and the more you put into it, the faster it regenerates. So that's like super handy when you're out of healing potions, but you don't really want to run all the way back to the beginning of the dungeon and go back to the town to buy more. So it lets you get away with carrying on, but I wouldn't advise, relying on it for bosses. Although it is possible to kite some of them as well. So you can be like running around a table in a circle while your health regenerates before you take another swing. But it's a bit of a painful way to do it, because obviously that takes a while, and then the boss hits you and most of your energy's gone, so you run away again, and yeah. I try not to do it in the footage that I captured, because obviously watching me just standing still waiting for my health to go back up, not particularly entertaining. So I used up a lot of health potions. You're welcome. The way leveling works is every time you level you get a number of skill points equivalent to the level you just reached. So if you reach level 4, you'll get 4 to put them into your various skills. The skills themselves could be like Greater Fortitude, as I said, or there's stuff for increasing damage with certain weapon types, or increasing the rate your mana regenerates, or increasing the effectiveness of your skills, unlocking new skills, stuff like that. They do go up, so it's not like a case of one for level 1, one for level 2, one for level 3, but no, you will pay more. I think it's equivalent to the level you're doing is how many points. And I think it goes up to level 5 or 6 off the top of my head. Also, every 6 levels you will get a point to put in your attributes. Your standard attributes are your usual D&D ones, like strength, intelligence, wisdom, dexterity, constitution, and charisma. I think I got more. It's been a while. But I mean, if you enjoyed the first game, you will love this game. It's basically more of the same. It is unfortunate because it does end on sort of... Both games sort of lead into a third one that kind of ties it all up. And they were going to make a third one, but obviously Interplay went down. And there was some legal troubles before that, because apparently they used the engine that Snowblind Studios created for the original Dark Alliance on other games, and not basically inform Snowblind Studios or cut them in for their royalties, so bad form. And that prevented them from basically doing anything else, and they really had to shuffle rights around and all sorts, and it just became a mess. So yeah, the third one was never really forthcoming, but it's nice to see that at least I got to play 2. And it's a surprisingly long game. There's a lot to it. There's a lot of different environments. There's quite a lot of enemy variety, perhaps not necessarily in each level, but certainly overall there's a decent amount. And you even fight furniture at one point, which is an interesting one and kind of creepy, to be fair. So Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance 2, I would recommend it, but I do think like 28 quid is a bit of an ask for such an old game, and it's not. It bumps it up. There's the options in it. There's a resolution bar, but I don't know how to use it. It's just like resolution, and I'm like, yeah, and I can't enter it, I can't move it, I don't know what's going on there. So I don't even know why it's there. But certainly it looks okay. It's noticeably sharper than a PS2 or an Xbox version of it would have been. So they've definitely done at least some work. And, I don't regret paying that amount of money for it. I mean, especially when you think I could buy a new game that's 70 quid and lasts me like 5 hours, and this lasted me way longer than that, and I had a ton of fun with it. So although it's expensive for an old game, it's not out of the realms of reality to pay that much for it, I suppose, especially if you enjoyed the first one and you know what you're getting into. If you were to buy it nowadays, assuming it actually came out in 2022 or whenever it did, then you might be disappointed that it's just a slight upscaling of an old game. but I didn't have any issues with it in terms of performance or anything. It was nice to play a version that I didn't have to emulate as well, because I had some issues emulating the first one before I got the newer version of that, as you will be well aware of if you had watched that video. So there you are. So Dark Alliance 2, it's as good, if not better than the first, I'd say, which is high praise as far as I'm concerned, because that first game was very good indeed. I do think it is slightly easier until you get to certain fights. There is the last fight is a bit of an arsehole, and you kind of got to cheese it a bit. I think it would be easier if I was playing with somebody else, but no, I was lying on my couch with my Steam Deck playing it on that, so bleh. Footage is captured off my desktop though, so you've got the Afterburner overlay to show you the performance. It is locked at 60, so it's doing 60, and you can see my PC is barely aware that it exists. So all very good news, consistently good 60. I'm happy enough with that. Don't really care. I mean, it's if they really did sort of anything to remaster it beyond what they've done, it might lose the flavour of it, you know what I mean? It's like when you get other remasters, all of which escape me right now. I'm sure one will come to mind. Remasters or remakes where like it's totally altered like the aesthetics of the original, and you're like, this may be called this, but it doesn't feel like this. That's the kind of thing I'm going for. I'm sure you guys can tell me with one in the comments. I'm sure I could come up with one if I wasn't full of cold. There we go. Well, we'll use my cold as an excuse because I'm a coward. Ah. Anyway, guys, that's it for this week. Take it easy. New things are on order, and I am playing through a couple of games. One is an extremely long RPG, so I don't know when I'll be able to give my opinions on that, because I do want to finish it. I do have probably enough to like give you my overall opinion, but I'd rather finish it because it's very much a story-based sort of game. So I want to have like the story before I come back, you know, just because I do. So anyway, guys, I'm going to give my voice a rest. Take it easy, and I'll catch you next time.